Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching FoodCaster. I'm Michael Seven Michael, and today we have with us Sam Eats Plants. How you doing, Sam?
Hi. I'm good.
Yes, sir. So, welcome to a new edition of FoodCaster, where we talk about having a relationship with food, questions, qualms, and the impact of food in our lives. Sam, changing of the seasons, right? And one thing that I've noticed a lot is a lot of people throw out the skin in fruit.
That's interesting. It's funny when I think about people taking off parts of their food. I think about children because so many times it's like, oh, my son or my daughter, they don't eat the skins of apples, the crust of their bread, and they're always cutting it off.
Right.
I am not really sure why we continue doing it as we grow up. The skins are very important. They're some of the most important because skins is where everything kind of resides.
Right.
We're talking about the collection of the most important minerals, the most important vitamins, phytonutrients, enzymes, and things like that. So when you take the skin off, even though it's like this thin layer and there's more mass and everything else, percentage-wise or proportionally, it's so much more nutritious that you're really just doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
And this is
Isn't
like
all the vitamins there? Right.
not every single one, but yeah, they collect in the skin. I mean, everything collects in the skin, even for animals, like humans too. Like a lot of our most nutritious stuff is organs, and skin is an organ. So skin like collects everything, which is also why it is important to be aware of how much produce you're eating that's not organic, because also the toxins would end up collecting in the skin as well. So it's like that
it's like a dual thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, like, to me, at least me, I don't know, maybe you can ask other experts, it would say something different. But to me, it's more worth eating it than not. And a lot of things you can eat the skin that people like typically don't. So we know some people like to peel their apples, but they know they can eat it.
Right.
Like we
definitely,
definitely can eat apple skins. We know this. The pith of oranges, that white stuff between.
So, Sam, we can eat that. I'm just messing with you.
I don't care to eat it, but it's super nutritious. That white stuff between the skin and the pulp of the fruit of oranges.
I eat it.
It's it's really nutritious. So like, because I know it, like sometimes I peel at it. I don't want to eat it. There are cultures that eat the skin of the bananas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you look at our anthropoidal cousins, the gorillas and apes and things like that, they eat the whole thing.
Right.
The skin is very nutritious. Mango skins can be eaten.
Okay.
It's another one that people don't realize they could eat. They can't eat it. Some people have a very specific allergy to just mango skins, though. So there's a bunch of people who eat mangoes and have no idea they're allergic to mango skin, because it's hard to figure out, because you can eat the mango, but you can't eat the skin, and most people don't eat the skin. But sometimes if you're eating it with the skin and it touches your mouth, and you're like, wait, what's wrong? What's going on? So yeah, you can eat that. And other things like hard squashes.
Oh, really?
Pumpkin, kabuka, acorn. If you roast it, you should eat the skin.
Okay.
So there's a lot of skins that culturally we don't even understand we can eat, and maybe we should start incorporating it into our culture.
Okay.
So says me.
Interesting. So says Sam. That's interesting. I'm actually playing around, trying to put a screen in screen here, and then doing it all in real time because I feel like it. Plus the fact you're really busy, Sam. You're all over the place.
A little bit.
We haven't done
I
a
know.
show in a while here. Let's see if I'm how. Oh, I'm cool. Yeah, technology is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you potatoes and sweet potatoes, you should eat the skin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why you should clean the skin,
Okay.
and before you throw it in the oven and bake it. But you should be eating at the skin too.
And so
That
for
I do.
men, it's healthier to eat roasted tomatoes versus raw tomatoes.
Um, sure. The thing is, you know, sometimes it's like splitting hairs because
Okay.
tomato, a produce is a produce. You're gonna benefit. It's so yeah, sure, because the lectins in tomatoes calm all the way down when they're cooked,
Okay.
and lectins can attach themselves to minerals and take some minerals from your diet that you've been eating and kind of prevent you from benefiting. But at the same time, it's like overall it really doesn't matter because right now what we're really trying to help people do is not eat potato chips and then eat a tomato. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's really where the battle really is. So yeah, you are right. You're right. But
Well,
I mean,
with salad in general, a lot of people are pouring so much gook on their salad to make the salad more palatable to themselves rather than just getting used to eating salad, which is good just by itself. It doesn't really, or there's healthier choices like using olive oil or actually a lot of the oils are nice to add with salad versus the fancy dressings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the problem with the store-bought dressings is usually three things that they always have. One, preservatives. So that's an issue. Two, almost all of them in any regular supermarket has high fructose corn syrup. And three, most of the oil that is used in most of the dressings on the shelves in supermarkets is soybean oil. And the issue with soybean oil is 95% of the soy crops in the United States are genetically modified or genetically engineered, which long-term effects, we're still not exactly sure what they do to the human population. They were introduced into our food systems in the mid-'80s. So we're just hitting the first generation getting into the middle of their life. We've been exposed on almost like basic. Yeah, like anyone born in 2000 is now super inundated with GMOs, like on a very regular basis. People born in the 80s, it just kind of started and it wasn't a lot yet. But to me,
you sound like a scary movie right now. You know that, right? Like this generation is basically genetically modified based on the food. Like you are what you eat, right?
We are living the horror movies that have been made that try to tell us things. We're in it, yay.
Oh, I forgot too. Kiwi. A lot of people do not eat the skin on kiwi.
Yeah, a lot of people don't
very
eat the
healthy?
skin. It's very healthy, yes. You can eat the skin of kiwi. I eat the skin. But once again, like a lot of this stuff just comes from being aware. So since I'm aware, because I'm making my business to be aware, I'm like, oh, yes, let me eat this skin. Let me encourage my kids to eat the skin. But like I said, culturally, we don't really do a lot of those things. So it's just like about changing the culture, and then which means you have to change your mindset. And you have to change how you're seeing your food and what you consider palatable or not palatable. Even the fact that people have to learn to have enjoyment with like simple, really crisp, like Boston or Bibb lettuce in its natural form. Like that's something cultural too. You can get there. You can get to a place where you're just popping cherry tomatoes because so good and fresh, and maybe they're from a farmer's market, so they don't taste as bland as in the supermarket. You can get there, but you have to decide to get there since most of us weren't raised that way. It's much easier if you were raised that way. You don't have to like look at this stuff as something boring or a task. It's only a task because most of our foods, when we're small, are like, I mean, look at any kids' menus: hot dog, pizza, burger, chicken nuggets,
Tons
right?
of salt, tons of sugar to mask
Tons of sugar,
what's
very
going on.
low fiber,
Right.
a lot of meat. And so because we don't cater to children as if they're little adults, so I like one of the things I've advocated for years is a kid's menu should be an adult's menu, just small portion. It shouldn't be different food because what are you teaching them?
Right. And it's usually cheap food, not very nutritious at all.
It's the worst food. So a lot of the foods that are geared to children in supermarkets, in commercials, and in restaurants are the worst foods. So this is why you become an adult who's like, this salad is so boring. I need blue cheese dressing all over every inch of it because all I want to taste is the saltiness and the fattiness of the blue cheese dressing.
Right.
That comes from training.
And I'm guilty because that was me.
I am too. You know, that's why I am where I am now because I've changed things over the last like 16 years. So here we are. But yes, the skin is quite important. And let's start rewiring our brain a little bit and start looking at these things as something edible and important and encouraging people and young people around us to do the same.
So let's, before we go into something else, let's just kind of run through a quick list of what we can think of. Fruits that the skin is edible that a lot of people don't eat. So, of course, we said apples.
You said
kiwi.
I'm saying mango.
You're saying mango.
Yeah.
You also said banana.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I can't. But it is edible.
It is edible.
I was saying earlier, the squashes.
Okay.
Those skins are hard to eat if they're not cooked, but definitely roasted. Like, you can take a whole butternut squash, cut it in half, and roast it into the oven like that. Eat the skin. You don't have to just eat the flesh out of the skin. And the skin is fine. Like, once it's roasted, it's just as soft as the inside. It's completely fine, and it tastes good. Root vegetables, like potatoes, yams, sweet potatoes, okinawa
That's
potatoes.
why I've seen a lot of people do the not eating the skin on potatoes, and I never understood that.
And it's so good. You put a little sea salt on like the bottom of it. Oh, it's so good. I have no problem eating potato skins. Oh my gosh. So that's one to really encourage. Like, if you're gonna bake a potato, bake a sweet potato, eat the entire thing. And it's really good and it tastes good, and that's not even an issue. Some skins you don't have to worry about: blueberries, strawberries, raspberries.
Almost unavoidable to eat.
Yeah, I know someone who has to peel her grapes before she eats them. Once again, this is all training. This is training because she was funny with the texture when she was a child, and she was allowed to be picky. And now at her big age, she can't get it out of her head.
Wow.
So not only that, but
you gotta guide the kids in a different direction. Yeah.
Everything is training. Everything. Those first 20 years are such a foundation for everything in a person's entire life.
Wow.
And I'm talking far beyond food at this point when I say that. But the 20 years dictate so much of how you see yourself in your life, in this world. It's so important. So, like, yeah, she can't get up the texture thing. In fact, even with tangerine pegs, she doesn't even want the skin around the peg. She can't eat her skin. And Yeah.
That's it.
So,
What about oranges? Can you eat those?
so there's actually a little bit of a not a poison, but a kind of little toxic thing on oranges. It's a protective mechanism, so we don't really need to touch them. But there's nutrients in the skin too, for sure.
Gotcha.
But they have a protective layer for us to like leave alone. Let me think. I know there's
And
probably
anyone
other
hard of
things.
hearing, leave those alone.
Say it again.
I said, anyone hard of hearing, leave those alone. The skin and oranges, leave those alone.
Yes, I think citruses in general,
Okay.
like lemons, limes. I think all of them kind of have it, but you can taste it. Nature gave us ways to kind of figure out what is medicine or poisonous. A lot of the things that are kind of poisonous are also medicine, which is interesting. And what is like, eat freely. The bitterness tells you, when it hits that bitter spot in your tongue, it tells you maybe don't keep eating this like in this way. So that's what you get if you actually try to eat an orange skin. You'll get the bitterness. It's not sweet. There's a little bitterness in there. Now, bitter in nature is still great because it's medicinal. But just like fake medicines, meaning the pharmaceuticals, so just like fake medicines, you're not supposed to take them all the time. The idea is to take them until you don't need them anymore. It's the same thing with nature medicines. So the bitter greens, I know I'm veering off a little bit, but this is just what we have built in for us to understand what we should not be eating abundantly all the time. And so the orange peel will tell you, but every other skin I've been talking about doesn't taste like that. They taste almost like just like the flesh, or they just taste sweet, so the rest doesn't have it. I've seen a woman peg pieces of pineapple out and eat the skin. I've never done that.
Wow.
So I can't tell you. It's good. Do you still hear me?
Yep. You cut out, but you can't tell us that it's something to do, basically.
I can't because I haven't tried it. I don't know what it tastes like. Yeah. But it's probably good for you. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, also, papaya skin.
Yeah, I know people that just eat that. Love papaya. I'm not a huge papaya fan. It's growing on me, though. Also, like, when you get those fruit bowls and they always have, what's it, papaya and cantaloupe?
Yeah, I don't like.
But it's warming up. I'm getting a little, taste buds are changing a little bit. Also, randomly, good.
I don't like melons except for watermelon. It's hard, but they wash you out. I mean, they're so good for your digestive tract.
Yeah.
But I wish I liked them more. I'll force it just because I know it's good for you. Another thing about melons, watermelon rind is so good for you.
Right. Well, yeah, it's changing now, and I noticed that too. Like the more I'm eating differently, certain things that I just couldn't stand before. Now I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. Like the cantaloupe, like the different melons. But I would avoid them. Like when they come in a dish, it would be the watermelon, strawberry, the mango, and I would leave the rest of it. I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I typically would avoid the other melons too, except for watermelon. But at least if you're eating something that's like fresh fruit, then like it's okay.
Right.
The whole idea is to just make better choices every time. Every day, every meal, just make better choices. Because as I say a lot, dying slowly over 20 years is awful. And if you can avoid doing that,
sounds great.
I think, everyone can live their life the way they want to.
Right.
And when everything feels fine, I think people don't really think about the possibilities of later on. But I think if you have a mentality to look into, have some foresight and think about yourself in 20 years, think about yourself in 30 years now, and do it like on a regular basis, it can help us do the right thing. Like even just staying hydrated and drinking enough water. I'm a person that doesn't really thirst. I have to be very cognizant to drink water. I love water. I just don't get thirsty. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to drink anymore. But I think about those things. I think about like, all right, when I turn 50, when I turn 60, and all the things that come with not drinking enough water. Right. And I'm like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, coconut water, watermelon, well, all the melons. What else? That's supposed to be cleansing liquids. I mean,
fruits are cleansing, and then within fruits, some are more cleansing than others, like grapes, melons, dragon fruit, kiwi.
Dragon fruit. A lot of people don't pick that up. I think maybe
because it's expensive.
Well, that is true. It is expensive for no reason.
It's like in New York City, it's like you could easily pay over $5 for one. But I mean, their best bet is to go to Chinatowns in whatever major city, and I think those are the cheapest dragon fruits you can come across. If you're actually in tropical Asia, it's pennies. It's like all those fruits that are so expensive and so exotic are nothing over there.
Well, I guess it's the shipping. I guess.
I don't know. The economies of scale when it comes to food are made up. So, maybe. But the only fruit that should really be crazy expensive because you can't pick it when it's not ripe because it will poison you is the Jamaican national fruit of ackee. That's it.
Really?
That's the only one that should be as expensive as it is because they can't pick it unripe and thus it will get bad in shipping.
Okay.
Because it will kill you if you don't let it ripen. You will be poisoned.
I did not know that.
You can die.
Figures would be Jamaica. With the poisonous fruit.
Yes, it's super poisonous if you don't let it open. So when I'm veering off, but here's a little lesson for everybody.
Yeah, go for it.
This is the national fruit of Jamaica. This is like catnip for cats. Is like ackee with Jamaicans. Like it's so crazy. And I love ackee. It's a very bright, beautiful red on the outside, but it opens up when it ripens on the tree. And when it opens, it exposes 3 incredibly shiny black seeds. They're beautiful. And the inside flesh is an intense yellow. When it opens, the poison is released. And then it's safe for humans to eat. But if you eat that before it opens, you can actually die. It's very poisonous.
Wow.
So that is the only thing that should be as expensive as it is. Ackee is very expensive in the United States. But all these other abundant tropical fruits from specifically from Asia, I don't know. They're so abundant. They should not be as expensive as they are. Yes, they're going over an ocean, but no, some of them are just a lot of our stuff comes from over an ocean. Most of our kiwis come from New Zealand. And they're priced per pound like cheaper than some of these Asian fruits. So I don't understand.
When you go in a supermarket, do you do the coconut water or do you just buy coconuts?
I buy coconuts.
Okay.
I have a creamer and I just it's in my house, but I'm a different case. I'm just a little tropical bougie. Okay. I can't stand coconut water in a bottle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And economically, do you fare better getting the coconuts versus just buying the drink?
I think that depends because there's different pricings of bottled coconut and of regular coconuts. Okay. So once again, in the Chinatowns of the world, you can get really cheap coconuts where each coconut can easily be no more than $2, sometimes $1. And each coconut can kind of render as little as 8 ounces to as much as almost 16 ounces in one coconut. So if you're buying a $2 coconut from Chinatown, and you can get up like 12 ounces of coconut water plus all the flesh on the inside, it's way worth it. It's way worth it. The thing that you pay for is the convenience also if it's bottled, because you would have to open it. Some people don't want it to open it. Some people are just like open scared of it. They're like, oh no, it's going to be a lot of work. It's really not. You know, if you're not used to it, you kind of like, I don't know. But it's just fine. And once you get in the habit of it, it's so much better. The other thing is coconuts do take a lot of space in your fridge. So, you know, so all these factors really determine
make
what's
it more
better.
Attractive, right, to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm inspired. I think I'm going to buy some coconuts and try it out. But,
buy coconuts because
you got to get a hammer, right? I have a hammer, but you got to hit it with a hammer, right?
You don't need a hammer.
No.
You just need a cleaver. And now, because people are getting into it, there's a tool called a Cocoa Jack. I don't even like it, but it's for Americans who are not from the tropics. And you put like a circle thing on top of it, and then it's like a hammer actually, but without being metal. And then you kind of open that way. I don't like doing that. I just use the butcher knife.
Oh,
bang,
you use a butcher? Okay. I've done it with a cutlass before, but you really got to be careful.
I did it once with a hatchet, and I was so scared because that hatchet was sharp and heavy. And I'm like, Sam, I did it on concrete. I was like, I don't even want this in my hand. I feel like I'm going to chop my hand off.
Wow. So, all right, get a big tray, and whatever you hit, so at least all the liquid stays in the tray. But see, then it gets all messy. So you have to really clean the coconut before you cut it, as well as whatever you're cutting it with to be...
I don't clean the coconut.
To be sanitary. Oh, no?
No. First of all, most of the coconuts come individually wrapped, and they're shaved down. So, like, the outside hasn't really been exposed. Like, the shelling is the green part, but most of those coconuts that we tend to buy are shaved off, so now it's just the inner side,
and
which is already
black. I was to say, what type of coconut? We talking about the brown one, or we talking about the green one?
I am not talking about the brown one.
Oh, okay.
Were you talking about the brown one?
Yeah.
Of course you were. I should have thought about that, because that's something.
And that's something I didn't think about either. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I grew up with my mom buying, so like I understand why you thought about that one.
Yeah.
The one that has become the coconut of choice is young Thai coconut.
Okay, those are easier.
Those are easier because one, they have more water. Two, the meat is softer because they're young. It hasn't matured. Okay. So the brown one is
hit it with a straw. You can actually put a straw through those.
Yeah, well, you have to open it still, and then you can put it right in the middle. But the brown coconuts, you can't make a little hole for yourself. You literally, my mom used to put it in a cloth bag, and then on the side of our brick house, just like hit it for it to open, and then she would use the meat to blend and make rice and beef.
All right, so give everybody your social media. And this has been a great conversation. If anyone has any questions about fruit and eating the skins of fruit and getting the right coconuts, hit us up.
Yeah.
All right.
You can find me at SamEatsPlants_ on Instagram. All right.
Cool. And you could hit us up on IG, FoodCaster_, as well as on, Facebook and all that. So Facebook, which is no longer Facebook. No, it's still Facebook, but the company's now Meta. So many things have happened over the last year. But yeah, hit us up. I hope you're watching us on cable or online. Either way, thank you for enjoying our conversation. Hope you enjoyed our conversation. And we will have more, and enjoy your relationship with food. You're watching FoodCaster. Thanks, everybody.